about contracts, a lot of times people are just thinking, oh, we need a client contract, which is great. You need a client contract. You need to make sure that your clients and you are on the same page when you're working with them. But also, there's so many other contracts that you can have. And so I'm going to kind of go through some of those contracts with you guys. So say you have a business and your business is with one or more partners. I hope you have a contract because it really helps define that relationship. It helps define the expectations and helps define the roles of each partner in the business. Is one person just going to be dealing as a operations manager? Is one person dealing with money? Is one person dealing with sales? And then how much money does each person bring in? And how much money they get back? What are the salaries? And what are the expectations at the end of the day? And then if somebody wants to leave, how do they exit that relationship? What happens if something happens to somebody? And so these are all issues that hopefully won't happen. But if they do, then you have a roadmap to guide you. And that roadmap is your business partnership agreement. It kind of defines the if this happens scenario and then how to resolve that scenario. And so it really helps out in the moments when you feel like you're in a bind, but you can easily defer to your contract and get some guidance. And following along those lines, then also if you have an LLC, then if you are a single member LLC or a multi-member LLC where you have more than one person owning that company, you should have an operating agreement or a company agreement. And the reason for that is because the company agreement is just essentially like how the company runs and how the company is operating with its members. So it's your contractual binding relationship with the company, but then if you have multi-member companies, then it's also your relationship with those members as well. And it's really important to have that because, again, just like I said with the general partnership agreement, it defines the relationship and really sets it in place as to what every person's role is, what money they're bringing in, what they can do, they cannot do, and who owns the company's property at the end of the day as well, like the intellectual property or the assets of the company. And so that really helps define the relationship between the member and the company and the member to member as well. Going a little bit deeper into the business now, on the business side of things, some contracts that you might need are the client agreement, your client contract. Whether it's a B2B business or a B2C business, you should have a client contract. And sometimes those client contracts are just purchase orders, or they could be an actual client contract where, the client is retaining you for certain types of services, and this is the kind of services you're offering. This is the money. What happens if you need to terminate, or if there needs to be cancellation or rescheduling? So all of these things are defined in your contract, along with force majeure, along with the choice of law and how you're resolving a dispute in the event it gets to a point where both parties are just not coming to an amicable agreement. What do you do then? And so the contract defines that. It gives you a roadmap again. And so it's really, really important to have that in there. And it's important to have one so you can manage the expectations of all the parties, which is so important. Along the same lines, you want to have the third party or the vendor B2B agreements as well. And that's just because you want to make sure that if you're especially you're acting like a general contractor, say you're an event planner and you're hiring all these people, you want to make sure that they are doing their job, because ultimately if they don't do their job, it affects your job and your services and your performance. So you want to make sure that aspect of your business is defined when you're hiring somebody, and they know what services they have to offer. They also know that if they can't offer it last minute, then what they need to do. And also they have to take responsibility. So it's really important to have those because, it's all a chain. And if one link breaks, then it can affect everybody else in a domino effect. So you want to make sure that you are covering and protecting your business in that aspect also. Because when those links break, it will impact everybody, but you want to make sure that you are cushioning that impact as much as you can. And then, it goes into your, aside from, the third parties that are involved in your business, you also have people who are internally involved in your business, people you hire to work for you. Whether it's an employee or an independent contractor, you want to have a contract. Now, Texas is an at-will state. You don't necessarily need a contract because it's at will. However, sometimes it's really good to have it because, it sets the foundation of that relationship. Plus, it defines how much money they're going to be paid and what the expectations are from the business and also their job requirements. And So, it's good to have definition. It's good to have parameters set. And, detail is good, but over detail can be too much because then you're limiting yourself. But then less detail can also be a problem because there's not enough scope and it's not a good definition. And so you want to make sure you have a healthy balance between both of those. And along with the employee contract and independent contractor agreement, sometimes you need a non-disclosure agreement, whether that's with a third party, whether that's with somebody that's working for you. Sometimes you're just sharing a lot of proprietary information, either together or, independently. You want to make sure that that information is properly safeguarded between the two parties. And last but not least, also there is a licensing agreement. So a lot of times, you have your brand name or you have product that you're creating. You want to have a licensing agreement in place. So that way the other party knows that you're not giving them ownership. You're allowing them to use your product or your name or your brand or, whatever you own, and you're allowing them to use it for certain purposes. And so licensing agreement is very important because you can only give it through a written instrument anyways. So that's why it's important to have it, because by word of mouth or by email, it's not good enough. It has to be a written instrument that is signed by both parties, especially the person who's giving the license away.